Understanding this about women made me change the way I see them for the rest of my life. The year was 2017 and I was determined to finally come face to face with my heroes. So I traveled all the way to Chicago to attend a free tour with RSD's Julian Blanc and Owen Cook. At this point, I was about 4 years into all things pickup, seduction, attraction, and social dynamics, and I had learned a great deal about all that from RSD, especially Julian. No joke, but back at home in Nigeria, I would literally download RSD Julian videos directly from the internet in the lowest resolution possible so as to save internet data. And yes, I still have them to this day in an SD card. So when I got myself into a better, more comfortable financial situation, it was a no-brainer for me to take some time off of work to go see Julian on tour, and then subsequently attend his Transformation Mastery Live program he was running at the time.
It feels good to be free. It feels good to be free. Like, I feel so light. I feel so jelly-like. I don't feel like I need to impress you guys. Ha! But like, really, I was never taught how to be authentic. So I did everything in my power to put up this mask, of being the awesome person that I thought I wasn't.
Needless to say, one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Money well spent. On the day of the program, Julian had us do many different crazy exercises out on the streets. The very first one being the toothpick exercise. You ever heard about this one? The exercise is very simple. Julian would hand you a toothpick and then you would walk outside into the streets of downtown Chicago and try your best to get complete strangers on the street to trade you something for that toothpick. The idea being that the exercise teaches you how the exchange of value actually works and how to have courage doing that. We had about 30 minutes to complete this exercise and then we had to go back to the seminar hall. And because we were majority men in that seminar, we were trying to outcompete each other to see who would bring back the most valuable stuff. Now, me personally, I had quite the journey doing this. I traded my toothpick in for a half-smoked cigarette stick. Then I traded that in for a single rubber band, which in hindsight was actually regression. But then to keep the rubber theme going, I traded the rubber band for a single condom. I was about to trade that in for a Chicago Bears bottle opener, but I ran out of time. Julian had us set alarms before we left so we wouldn't lose track of time. So it was GG's and I was heading back to the seminar hall. When I got there, all the boys were already there talking about what they traded up to. Everyone thought my condom was pretty funny, but there were some other guys that had some crazy shit. Everything from pairs of shoes to beer cans, half-eaten sandwiches, stack of envelopes. Hell, this one guy had a spare tire for a bicycle. Didn't even own a bike. So as boys do, we were all clowning each other when I noticed someone come into the door from my right. I recognized her as the petite Latina looking chick that I had seen before in the seminar hall. Apparently, even though this was a male-oriented program, she was going through the program with us. And from what I could tell, she was one of the girls that Owen Cook came in with. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Owen was there briefly at the beginning and the end of the program. Shout out to Owen. So anyway, back to the story. This girl walks in through the doors and she doesn't look good. She doesn't look as lively as I remember her being. She had her head down, hair covering her face, taking small, slow steps, and she was walking slowly towards me. She was about a good foot from me when she lifted up her face to look directly at me. She had tears streaming down her cheeks. Till this day, I can't remember what exactly she said word for word, but it was something to the effect of, "Why are people so mean?" I wish that I could tell you that I reached out to grab her, pulled her in close, and told her everything's gonna be fine. But as fate would have it, I am not the hero in this story. As God is my witness, in that moment, I was completely frozen. I had absolutely no idea what to do. I didn't know how to react to this. Fortunately for me, some random Asian guy came out of nowhere and gave her the hug that she clearly needed. To be fair, there's a chance he did it to be an opportunistic simp, but till this day, I am thankful to that man. Because if he didn't intervene like that, then the awkwardness between me and her would have just exponentially increased. Now, after she was mostly done with crying on actually a few different shoulders, she was able to articulate to us the reason for her distress, the reason why she was feeling the way she was. And honestly, I should have been able to guess what she was going to say next because she still had her toothpick in her hand. You see, she had gone out to do the exact same exercise we did. And according to her, the 3 people that she approached in total were very mean and negative towards her. The last one in particular being an older man that yelled in her face. She felt super dejected and unwanted and spent the rest of her time just wallowing in self-pity before making it back to the seminar hall. Which is where the crying started because women usually start crying when they feel like they're in a safe space. At that time I didn't know that, but I do now. And when I heard her explain all that, I'm not gonna lie to you. I felt zero empathy for her. In fact, being completely honest here, I was fucking pissed. Because you see, on my way to trading up to that condom, I too had faced massive rejection. I had multiple people act like they didn't see or hear me when I tried to walk up to them with the toothpick in hand. Imagine getting ghosted in real life, am I right? I had about 7 different people just straight up laugh in my face, including one of the people that actually agreed to do a trade with me. There was this one guy that tried to stiff me on a trade, like he tried to take the cigarette stick and not give me anything in return. And don't even get me started on how many times I walked up to people and their knee-jerk reaction was to go, "Sorry, I don't have any change." Listen to this girl talking about,
"Somebody yelled at me."
I was like, and? You're walking up to strangers asking them for a really weird request. That comes with the territory. What the hell are you crying about? In fact, in my mind, I began to accuse her of just doing it for attention. And till this day, I still maintain that there was an element to that, for sure. After observing her for a while, I realized those tears weren't fake. This was a woman that was deeply hurt. So I began to ask myself, why? Why was she hurt by happenstance that was, in this case in particular, inevitable? Because there's no way she wasn't expecting any kind of resistance at all, right? Right. And then that's when it hit me. She wasn't expecting any resistance. She's a hot little Latina, or to be fair, she might have been a tan white girl. Whatever, she was a hot, petite little thing with nice titties, right? She's used to getting her way pretty much all the time, especially with men. And in fact, I remember her admitting that her strategy was to ask men specifically to do trades with her. In her mind, there was no world where she could be harshly rejected, especially not by a man. And that day was orchestrated for her to understand what life looks like from the other side, from my side. What I really witnessed that day was the destruction of her expectations and the death of her ego. Not to mention, by the end of it all, she discovered a newfound appreciation for what men go through. It was really special. Now really think about this. This particular girl was lucky enough to learn something that most women will never learn in their lives. She was fortunate enough to have a connection with a man that would put her through an experience like that for her own benefit. And because of that, she became a more well-rounded, more empathetic woman. Unfortunately, as it stands, most women are not that fortunate. Most women, especially the beautiful ones, have never had the privilege of going through some kind of ego death. They've never been forced to go outside their comfort zone and not rely on their beauty. So is it a wonder that they're as demanding and narcissistic as they are? Moral of the story, these bitches need salvation. And the only way they can ever have a hope of salvation is if you decide to save them. You disciplining her, you shooting her down, you telling her the much needed no is the greatest blessing she will ever receive. It's been Jason, your favorite scientist. Do with this information what you must.